Wisconsin Department of Transportation's Bureau of Aeronautics supports a network of 8 commercial service airports and 90 diverse general aviation public use airports in the state. These airports provide a global gateway to Wisconsin's communities for personal and business travel, tourism, emergency responders, agricultural spraying, and flight training, in addition to supporting U.S. military aviation. General Mitchell International Airport at Milwaukee is the largest of Wisconsin's 8 commercial service airports. Wisconsin is home to many aviation businesses, including aircraft and aircraft parts manufacturers, as well as a broad array of aviation services. Wisconsin's system of airports provide the infrastructure support necessary for Wisconsin's business and industries to grow, provide jobs, and be competitive in the global marketplace. The system also supports aircraft needed for medical emergency, law enforcement, and search and rescue. Recreation and tourism are key economic engines for Wisconsin's economy and quality of life. Many of the state's smaller airports are home base for aerial applicators serving Wisconsin agriculture. Fire suppression is an important aerial capability. Aerial monitoring and imaging are important for environmental preservation and management of natural resources. Wisconsin's system of airports supports multiple armed service units in both training and tactical roles. While the state of Wisconsin does not own any airports, it is important for the state to have a system of airports that supports current as well as long-term air transportation and economic needs. The strategy for meeting those needs is founded on the classification and identification of a system of airports that can best service Wisconsin's anticipated population and employment growth. Wisconsin's state airport system is comprised of 98 public use airports. 3 are privately owned public use airports, and 95 are owned by a municipality, county government, or a union of local governments. Of those 98 airports, 90 are general aviation airports, and 8 are commercial service airports. These 98 airports are eligible for federal and/or state aid for airport improvement projects. The State Airport System Plan establishes a framework for identifying the number, location, and type of aviation facilities required to adequately serve the state's aviation needs over a planning period. The plan defines the state airport system, analyzes current conditions, forecasts system needs, and forecasts the level of public investment needed to preserve and enhance the system for the future. Wisconsin statutes require a state airport system plan and accompanying system plan environmental evaluation. The last plan was completed in 2000 and is no longer useful for planning purposes. There have also been many changes in technology and system drivers, including the economy and population. Updates of the system plan usually occur to take advantage of a U.S. Census update. The purpose and objectives of the plan are to improve safety of Wisconsin airports, obtain a current inventory of the facilities and services of each airport in the system, establish airport system goals, performance measures, and benchmarks, identify system and airport-specific deficiencies, as well as adequacies and surpluses in the system, address FAA's departure from ground-based navigational aids to a satellite-based system and how it will affect Wisconsin, develop cost alternatives to meet system goals and benchmarks, establish a framework for future investments, conduct a system plan environmental evaluation of the results of the system plan, and to develop a method to monitor progress of system goals. Our vision of the system underlines the purpose of public infrastructure. Five goals have been established in the plan for the Wisconsin airport system. Provide a safe and secure aviation system for users and the general public. Support a system of airports that is readily accessible from the ground and the air. Provide airport infrastructure to attract businesses supporting economic growth. Provide a system of airports that meets existing and future needs. And provide a system of airports that addresses community and environmental compatibility. There are 2 distinct types of airports: commercial airports, which support regularly scheduled year-round commercial airline services and a full range of general aviation activity and military operations. And general aviation airports, which support general aviation activities, such as business, freight, non-scheduled passenger, recreational, law enforcement, search and rescue, medical, agriculture, and military operations. All airports contribute to the economy and transportation infrastructure, but not all airports serve the same role or contribute in the same manner. Airport classifications were developed to identify relative roles of each airport in Wisconsin's airport system. These roles serve as a baseline for current and future facility needs and analysis. Existing roles are based on current population and economic centers, and future roles are based on forecasted changes in these areas. Wisconsin has 4 airport classifications. Commercial service airports, like General Mitchell International in Milwaukee, support regularly scheduled year-round commercial airline service and support the full range of general aviation activity to domestic and international destinations. Wisconsin has 8 commercial service airports. General aviation airports are divided into 3 classifications. Large general aviation airports, like Sheboygan Municipal Airport, support all general aviation aircraft that include daily operations of all types of business jets. These airports generally serve as domestic transportation centers and may support international business activity. Wisconsin has 14 large general aviation airports in its system. Medium general aviation airports, like Watertown Municipal Airport, support most single and multi-engine general aviation aircraft, including those aircraft commonly used by businesses. These airports support regional and in-state air transportation needs. There are 48 medium general aviation airports in the state airport system. Small general aviation airports, similar to Richland Airport, primarily support single-engine general aviation aircraft, but may also accommodate small twin-engine general aviation aircraft and occasionally business aircraft activity. Wisconsin has 28 small general aviation airports. This map presents the roles for Wisconsin's system of airports. Forecasts of Wisconsin's aviation activity contribute to several aspects of the system plan. They are used to verify activity levels and based aircraft at individual airports, and to help determine whether existing facilities have sufficient capacity to accommodate future demand. Information collected for 2010 serves as the base year of the forecasts and a benchmark for future comparisons of aviation activity in Wisconsin. Forecast years are 2015, 2020, and 2030. Factors that influence the forecasts are: Frontier Airlines discontinued its hub at Milwaukee's General Mitchell International Airport. United and Continental Airlines merged, as well as Delta and Northwest Airlines. And the recent merger of American Airlines and U.S. Air will also influence forecasts. Most of the commercial turboprop fleet was retired in favor of regional jets. Business activity has increased. General aviation has experienced a sustained decline, and air cargo activity has remained flat. Enplanements are the number of revenue-generating passengers boarding air carriers. Given the termination of Frontier flights at Milwaukee, emplaned passengers suffered a substantial decline in 2011 and 2012. For this reason, the forecasts dip in the first 5 years and resume growth in later years. Despite early declines in the forecast period, emplaned passengers are forecasted to increase from 6.5 million in 2010 to 7.1 million in 2030. Airport operations are either a takeoff or a landing. 80% of operations occurred at the Milwaukee's General Mitchell International Airport in 2010. The first 5 years of the forecast period reflect reduced Frontier airline flights and consolidation of United and Continental routes, Delta and Northwest Airlines routes, and American Airlines and the U.S. Air routes. Also, Delta and American Airlines are transitioning to larger regional jet aircraft, which results in reductions in frequencies at some cities. Overall, commercial operations are projected to decline each year by 0.6%, from 238,470 in 2010 to 211,500 in 2030. General aviation operations occur at all 98 airports. The number of general aviation landings and takeoffs is estimated at all airports in the state, except the 13 airports that have an air traffic control tower. 7 commercial service airports and 6 general aviation airports have towers. Traffic counts for these airports provide solid historical information about operations and form a good starting point for forecasts of general aviation operations. For non-towered airports, an operation per based aircraft methodology was used. Operations are expected to grow from 1.9 million in 2010 to 2.1 million in 2030, for an average annual growth rate of 0.4%. In 2010, there were an estimated 1.9 million general aviation operations in Wisconsin. General aviation aircraft are used for business and personal travel, recreational travel, flight instruction, emergency airline, and agricultural spraying. Based aircraft are aircraft that are registered and housed at a particular airport for the majority of a year. The 2 most numerous types of aircraft in Wisconsin are single and multi-engine piston aircraft. These aircraft are projected to decline over the forecast period by 0.1% and 0.5% annually. One reason for this is that these aircraft are among the oldest in the fleet. Some are being replaced by light sport aircraft, and others are being retired without replacement. The decline in these types of aircraft is part of a sustained national trend. The based aircraft fleet is projected to grow from 3,810 to 4,117 during the forecast period, or by 0.4% each year. Air cargo is shipped into and out of commercial service airports and some general aviation airports in Wisconsin. Overall, air cargo is expected to increase at an annual rate of 1.3% per year, from over 231 million pounds in 2010 to over 297 million pounds in 2030. Military operations are a relatively small contributor to the airport activity at public use airports. Volk Field is an important contributor to operations, but it is not part of the state airport system. Therefore, the forecasts for military activity shows flat growth. Military operations are difficult to forecast because levels of activity are determined by federal budgets, foreign policy, and unexpected domestic and international events. System goals were developed early in the planning process to support the vision for the system. For each goal, measures were established and presented with each goal. For each measure, a target performance was also determined. And using the following planning tools, the Department of Transportation can track system performance over time. Airport facilities and service largely define the types of aircraft and users that operate at an airport. Typical facility and service attributes have been established for each of the 4 airport classifications to provide guidance on items each airport should have in place to best fill its system role and meet the needs of its users. These attributes are not a requirement. Any investment in a facility or service attribute at an airport must be justified and approved through the local master planning and environmental process. This slide provides an example of a partial list of typical facilities and service attributes for airports that have been classified as a large general aviation airport. A complete list of typical facilities and services for each classification is discussed in detail in Chapter 5 of the technical report. Another planning tool is the Airport Report Card. This is a planning tool that can be used by both the airport sponsor and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. The report card compares the typical facilities and services to each airport. It helps both the airport sponsor and the Wisconsin Department of Transportation's Bureau of Aeronautics to identify and prioritize potential items that may be considered for an airport improvement project. Again, not having an attribute does not guarantee funding, nor is it a requirement. Individual airports may have different local needs based on their specific users, and any investment in a facility and service attribute at an airport needs to be justified and approved through the local master planning and environmental processes. Additionally, the combined report cards from the 98 airports in the system are assembled to show how the system is meeting established goals and measures. This slide illustrates how the Department of Transportation's Bureau of Aeronautics can track system performance over time. System plan investment recommendations are based on the typical facility and service attributes and system goals and measures. Individual airports may have different local needs based on their specific users. These costs should not be interpreted as the entire costs for system-wide airport improvements over the 20-year period. Each airport has a 5-year Airport Capital Improvement Program that identifies yearly potential airport improvement projects and is also heavily invested in the preservation of airport facilities. This program is initiated by the airport owner and reflects their needs, desires, and uniqueness of the airport, taking into account the airport environment and the needs of the community. Identification of projects in this state airport system plan is not a commitment on the part of the FAA or the Wisconsin Department of Transportation for project funding, nor does it provide project justification. Remember that a system plan investment recommendation may already be identified in the Airport Capital Improvement Program. When a system plan investment identified need is requested by an airport, it will be reviewed and considered for addition to future airport capital improvement programs. Total cost to meet all system plan investment recommendations is estimated to be $699.9 million. The annual airport capital improvement program is currently about $110 million. The state of Wisconsin is committed to integrating the principles of environmental justice into all transportation planning programs and activities. Fundamental principles of environmental justice are to avoid, minimize, or mitigate disproportionately high and adverse effects on minority and low-income populations, to ensure full and fair participation by all potentially affected communities, and to prevent the denial of, reduction in, or significant delay in the receipt of benefits by minority and low-income populations. The objectives, strategies, and recommendations outlined in this plan do not appear to result in any inherent disproportionate negative impacts to minority and low-income populations. Additional environmental justice analysis will be completed at the project level. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation is dedicated to working through the sequencing process to avoid, minimize, and mitigate any negative impacts. The System Plan Environmental Evaluation is a broad-level analysis of the potential impacts to the human environment. Two alternatives were evaluated for this plan: the adoption of the State Airport System Plan 2030 and the no action and continued use of the outdated State Airport System Plan 2020, the existing plan. All impact categories were evaluated and are outlined in detail in Chapter 9 of the technical report. Adoption of the State Airport System Plan 2030 was the selected alternative. The no action, continued use of the State Airport System Plan 2020 was not selected, as it no longer accurately represents the facilities, activity levels, and services currently provided by the Wisconsin airport system. The System Plan Environmental Evaluation does identify potential direct and indirect effects on water quality, wetlands, endangered and threatened species, agriculture, and air quality. However, individual projects will, as always, require environmental review under WEPA and possibly NEPA. The draft technical report, System Plan Environmental Evaluation, and executive summary are available for public review and comment from July 16th until August 31st, 2014. A final hearing will be scheduled following the public comment period. All documents are available for public inspection at the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Hill Farm State Office Building Library in Madison, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Region offices located in Madison, Waukesha, La Crosse, Eau Claire, Superior, Rhinelander, Wisconsin Rapids, and Green Bay, and at state depositories. The technical report, System Plan Environmental Evaluation, and executive summary
are also posted on the Department of Transportation's website.
A CD of the plan is also available upon request. Comments will be accepted for the 45-day comment period at the following address: Wisconsin State Airport System Plan 2030, WisDOT Division of Transportation Investment Management, Bureau of Aeronautics, P.O. Box 7914, Madison, Wisconsin 53707-7914, or via email at sasplan@dot.wi.gov, or by telephone, area code 608-267-1223, or by fax at area code 608-267-6748. Thank you.